So let's get started. Today, we're going to be reviewing the process for 1099 documents and reports out of SAP Business One. If you haven't done it before, this is the right time to start setting up your vendors and getting to know the process that Lorena is going to share with all of us. As I mentioned, Lorena is our senior consultant. She's based out of San Antonio, Texas. She, before becoming an SAP Business One consultant, she was a user. So she was on your side of the bench for many years. She was an advanced user and she oversaw the implementation of SAP Business One at her previous company. And I always say that I think that brings a special touch to the type of consultancy and help that she provides customers, because she has that sensitivity of being on the other side. Most of you already know her. You know her enthusiasm and the love of the work that she does. We're very happy to have Lorena on our team. And as I was mentioning, she was recently certified on SAP Business One version 10. Congratulations again, Lorena, just in case anybody missed that part. So thank you, Lorena, for being with us today. My name is Clara Custodio. I lead customer experience here at Consensus and Communications. And what we're doing is we're trying to create this webinar program as well as other resources to make your life easier, the life of the SAP Business One user easier. I always tell you that your feedback helps me do my work. So whatever feedback you have at any point in time, if you prefer to give me a call, give me a call. If you want to send me an email, that's also fine. The feedback of how you're experiencing your journey with both the software and our services helps me improve it for you and other users, and that's my job. So thank you very much for being here today and for your feedback that I will be asking for at the end of the webinar. A couple of housekeeping items. We are recording this webinar. It will be available for everyone afterwards and for you to share it with your colleagues. All participants are muted by default, but if you want to communicate with us at any point during the webinar, you have a question or something to tell us, you can use the Q&A function here in Zoom. You find that at the bottom of your screen. And it looks like what you're seeing on your screen right now. Lorena and myself, we're going to now turn off our cameras to be wise with the bandwidth and to ensure that we have that you can concentrate on the presentation, and also that we have great sound. Let me stop my video as well. So Lorena is going to take us today through different steps. I don't know if Lorena, you wanna present this slide. I put
yes,
two slides with
of course.
The contents. Okay.
Yes, definitely. What we're going to be doing today, as Glita mentioned, is it's about 1099s and how important that is for everybody, as is mandated by the IRS, and it's part of what we do. So mainly, we're going to go over, it's like, how do you set up a vendor in SAP for 1099? How to allocate the specific 1099 forms, which category they belong to, and how we do this. So it automatically brings in the information to all of the AP invoices that anybody creates in SAP for that specific vendors. Now, there is a functionality also in SAP. It's called 1099 editing, and we're going to go over and how to use it. At the same time, we're going to go over, when you bring in your previous balances, how do we bring in last year's balances into this year, and how the 1099 opening balance works. And last is how we're going to be able to generate the reports in SAP to print directly on the forms that we receive, that we have to buy from the IRS on this case. At the same time, we're going to be able to see how we're going to set up and process these 1099 documents, how to print them, and what the difference are between the new form, which is the 1099 net, versus the 1099 miscellaneous. As we all know, the the IRS just brought up a new form, a new change to the existing form for 2021. This new change, we did have to make a new layout for all customers while SAP creates, adds this functionality in SAP, which will be available in an, whenever you upgrade to a specific version. And of course, then we go into the testing, the document printing, making sure that everything is aligned when printing on the forms. As we know, this is a very unique setting per customer, because we all have different printers, different needs, and we just want to make sure that everything prints properly on your printer. Okay, so that's what we're going to be reviewing on this webinar. I'm gonna
stop sharing, Lorena, so that you can share your system. Okay.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me start sharing my screen. Here we go. And Clarita, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Thank you. Okay, so for this presentation, I'm going to use a demo company, and we're gonna generate everything. So the first topic, as you saw on the slide, is how to set up a vendor. How to set up a vendor in SAP for 1099. I have a vendor already set up, and so I'm gonna just go over how that works. And as you can see here, when I look up my list of business partners, I added the columns for 1099, so I can see which vendors are 1099 set up and which ones are not. This is a great way to review what you currently have and make the adjustments at any given time. So I created a vendor called Vendor ABC, pretty simple. And once you're adding a new vendor, everything else goes as normal. There is no difference. You can set up, obviously, the federal tax ID number is important for the forms to be printed out. Then, addresses, contact person, everything else is just as normal. But the only difference here is in the accounting tab. In the accounting tab, you're going to have the 1099 form and the 1099 box fields. So in here is where you select the type of 1099 that this specific vendor belongs to. In this case, I'm going to use the miscellaneous because it's the most common one, and that everybody is very familiar with that. Now, in the next field is the box. What kind of 1099 do they get? I see a lot of companies using other income. But in this case, we're going to focus on non-employee compensation. But you can set it up as, you see fit, whatever fits that vendor in particular. So the process is the same regardless of the category that needs to be chosen here. All that this does is you're going to be able to see the difference on the form when it prints in the specific box that needs to be printed and the specific field that needs to be checked. So we're going to use the number 7, which is the NEC, the non-employee compensation. So once you add these two fields, then you update or you add if it's a new vendor, and this is how you set this up. So what happens after you set this up? Any document that you use any AP invoice that you create for this specific vendor, the forms automatically are set up as a 1099. So in this case, we're going to create a vendor, create an AP invoice, and we're going to use a service invoice. since a lot of 1099s we understand is, cleaning crew, things like that, or any other type of service. In this case, I'm going to make it exempt, and let's say it's for $1,500. So at this point, as you can see, the system is normal, nothing changes. But in the accounting tab, you're going to see that the fields are already filled in. So this allows for the system to say, okay, for every invoice that you create for this specific vendor is going to go to a 1099 miscellaneous for the non-employee compensation. You are able to change it at the specific form if you have a vendor that, just in case you have a vendor that wants to use other income instead of non-employee compensation for one specific invoice, you are able to do it right here or take it off. If you completely take it off, this specific invoice will not be reported as part of the 1099. Okay, it's not going to be included. So just keep that in mind about this and how important it is to do it. Now, there is a funny thing about SAP, and it's when you have an invoice that it is 1099, you can, once you add it, a lot of the times, and as you all know, you cannot make any changes to the invoice itself because it's already created a journal entry. Now, in the accounting tab for the 1099, as long as the AP invoice is not paid, so it still shows the balance too, you are able to change this. So, for example, if somebody made a mistake, choose either the wrong 1099 or they didn't choose it at all, you can still make sure that this is done before the invoice is paid. Once it's paid, this function is not going to be be available to be changed at all. And then, it goes into a little bit of a hassle to be able to add an invoice to a 1099 report. Okay, so very, very important that it is selected before the payment is done. So if we let's create the payment right now. And as you can see, it's going to grade out automatically. And add. So, and of course, if I refresh, as you can see, now that it's paid, there is no balance due. It won't let me do any changes. Okay. So that is the main thing about the 1099, creating an AP invoice for them. Okay, so we've gone over how to create a vendor, how to allocate a vendor information for the 1099, how to create an invoice that brings in the information once the vendor is set up as a 1099, and how to make changes on the AP invoice before the payment is applied. Okay. Now there is another part in here, and I've seen this happening to a lot of our customers. It's when you're trying to run the report, you want to see what the account balance looks like. You want to see a total, just in case somebody missed an AP invoice, and the total doesn't match up exactly what it shows on the report versus what you actually invoiced, reported, created the multiple invoices. So here's where you can actually go and make sure that the balance matches to the report. So if we go to the account balance right here, you're going to be able to see all of the invoices created and the total. You can select the time, the date range, and you'll be able to see all of the invoicing and, of course, the payment and so how this is worked. Okay. There is another one right here, which I also like, this one. Specifically, if you have invoices from the previous year that have not been paid, well, you're going to see it here. So you can use your filter table in order to select the date range. And you'll be able to see, okay, I just want to select for 2020. And actually, I have a really nice example to show you, since this is a demo company that I do have a vendor that we created a long time ago that has a lot of invoices open from previous years. So if I go to the graph, as you can see, I have 2016 in here that we haven't paid this vendor, and then of course you have your 2020. So when that happens and you just want to report for the specific date, then you can use the filter here, select the date range here. It's not particular, the date range is going to give you the first invoice date created for the year. So as you can see, my first one was March 20, 2020, and the last invoice for 2020 was October 31st. So if I filter it, it's going to give me only the invoices that I want, and it's going to give me my total, which in this case is $16,500. Okay, so I know for sure that this is all my invoices for that year, and this is the total that I should have when I run the 1099 report. So this is pretty nice tool to use and be able to get that information. So now the next thing we would do is if we go to the financial report, and the 1099 report. So this is normally what would you do in order to be able to see, and then you can submit this in order not to show it again. Of course, I'm going to select the 1099 form. You need to select the ones that apply. In this case, I'm going to choose miscellaneous, and I can either leave all the boxes open or select the non-employee compensation. Now, why do we choose only the non-employee compensation here? As we know, we have a new form, which is a 1099 NEC. So you have to print this particular form individually first, and then print all others later. So you're going to have to run this report twice. One for the non-employee compensation and one for all others. Okay, so we click OK. And you can select your posting date range from, and we just click OK. And here's going to bring in all of the information that I have for my employees. And as you can see, this is the last vendor that we saw. Let me make this bigger. And you can see here that Anthony Smith had $16,000, but I only see $1,500. So there is a discrepancy here. What happened? Why is the $1,600 not showing here? So let's go back and let's see how we're going to fix that. So we do have in the system what is called a 1099 editing. And I can a little bit blank here. Oops. Hold on just a second. And we're just going to pick the 1099 miscellaneous. And we're just going to pick the next. Okay, and we're choosing the form invoices and credit memos not marked as submitted, because those are the ones we want to see. And as you can see here, this is all of the information that we see for all of those vendors. In this case, I can do it just for Anthony Smith, but as you can see, there's only one selected here. If I uncheck this little guy here, we can actually see everything else. Wait a second, right here. Let me go back up here. And okay, we're gonna be able, let me just check here. I just need to make sure that we have all of the other information from Anthony, because it's not reflecting that. So if I go back to Anthony Smith and I go back to the balance, you know, the list of the AP invoices, I can see the one for $1,500 is not there. So I can go ahead and open it. go back to the accounting, and I can see that it was not assigned. That's the reason why it's not showing. Because it's not paid, I can still assign it, add it, and save it. Now it's not paid, so it's not going to show up until I pay it. So now I can go ahead and make a payment if it applies, and we add. And now if we go back to that report, we are going to be able to see it now. So let's run it again. Okay, where is my Nick? Okay. Well, the reason why it's not showing because I paid it in 2021, and it only records what the payments were done for that specific day for 20. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's right here. There we go. I do apologize for that. I didn't see it. So we can see the Anthony Smith is up here, and now it's selected as part of my report to be completed. So if I go back and run my report again, now I can see. Let me go back here and submit it, not submitted, and it should be part of it now. Let me just double check here. Yes. Okay, yes, it's only showing this particular one because the payment was done in 2021. I do apologize for that, but yeah, since it was paid in 2021, it's not going to show here. It's going to show for the next year. So if we go here, and let's actually select 2 years in a row. Now you can see it reflected for the total amount. Okay. So from here, let me go back to where 2020 is, so we can actually go from here. Once everything is corrected and everything is done and we're ready to print, from this form, we're going to go to File. And I'm going to do a preview layout because obviously I don't have a printer here. But so you're going to have to select the 1099 form next that needs to be installed in your company, and we're going to be doing a test first in order to make sure that all of the fields align correctly and that everything prints as they need to print. Okay, I did not add the address for the vendor, so that's why that's not showing up in here, as well as the federal tax ID. But as you can see, the $1,200 as it needed to be, it's there, and everything needs to be checked as correct. So it does take a little bit of time in order for us to install this 1099 form layout in your system. So my suggestion is to do it as early as possible before you need to run the 1099 next year, and have it ready as early as possible. Okay, so now what happens with the 1099 editing? How does that work? The 1099 editing, and if we click it here, as you can see, it's going to give you a list of all of the invoices that you have listed. If there is an invoice that it was not selected as a 1099, and you see here that it doesn't have the 1099 selection and it's already paid, there is not much you can do about it besides canceling the payment and readjusting the fields and then apply the payment again. But this 1099 editing allows you to say, okay, for this specific invoice, we're not going to allocate $3,000, which is the total of the invoice for the 1099. It only applies to $2,000 worth. So you are able to change how much you apply to the report. Okay, so and this is pretty much how the 1099 editing works. It just edits current AP invoices, they have the 1099 form already allocated. If there is a form that it doesn't have the 1099 form allocated and it's already paid, they, if it's only one, I suggest canceling the payment with the same date that the payment was generated, and make the changes on the AP invoice, and then do the payment again, apply the payment again, and it should be able to show on the system now. If it's a lot of vendors that have that problem, then you might want to consider doing for that specific year, doing it manually, filling out the forms manually, and using the system to give you the balance for those manual 1099s that you will have to do. Like I mentioned, in this case, you'll be able to see it just by going to the little graph, filtering the information just for the 2020, and in this case we have 2020. That way, this one that was done in 2021, it's out of the system, and it gives me a total of $17,000. So I know that this is the balance that I need to add to that, the 1099 form, and again, do it manually. But you can actually stop the problem going forward by making sure that all of your AP invoices have that allocation and all of the vendors are set up correctly. Okay, now one other part in here that we do have that we discussed is how to do an opening balance. We have this little field called the 1099 opening balance. You can see the path on the screen, and what this is used. And I'm going to actually take off the settings so I can have them all. These are the vendors that I have selected that are 1099. So I can actually say, well, for since we're already in 2021, but I want to do the totals for 2020, then I can add them here. Let's say, I don't know, $5,000. And what is my posting date? So I can select the date that the total amount, the total balance is going to be for my 1099 form, and be able to print my report for that full amount. So it works really good for companies that go live middle of the year, so you can bring in the balance for the the first part of the year that you did not bring into SAP. Or for also companies that they never implemented the 1099 to begin with in SAP. You've been doing it outside SAP and now you want to use the system, then this is something that it will definitely work as of now. For example, you can enter the total amount that you've done as of February 25th on previous AP invoices that are already paid. And, you cannot change it anymore. So you will allocate that balance. And then, as of February 26th, you can start with the new settings, correct settings for the vendors, and all of the AP invoices from now on will be set up correctly, and it will start adding to the balance. So this will be your original opening balance that was never recorded in SAP. So that's what this is for. I encourage you, we can actually do a test for every customer. We can do a one-on-one with you to make sure that we test this properly before it's posted, before it's done. So we'll be happy to help you out with this part if you are unsure about it. Then besides that, after the 1099s are printed, sent out, confirmed, there's no changes or there's no editing that needs to be done, then as we all know, the 1096 are due, I believe, in February. So in here, all we have to do is just select the 1096 form. We're going to be what has been submitted or not. And in this case, it's not. And here is my my 1096 and how it's going to be printed. So from here, it's the same process. You go to print layout. You select the 1096 neck or the 1096 miscellaneous, as we need to submit two separate forms with this. And you click OK, and as you can see, the X right here, this little guy is going to be exactly on the non-employee compensation little window that we have on that form, and be able to submit it properly. Okay, so this is pretty much everything that has to be done with 1099s. Please do let us know if anybody needs further information. I know Clarita put together a 1099 process in SAP Business One, which is kind of a step-by-step of everything that we did today. So she'll be able to provide this to everybody that is required. And I know, Clarita, you're gonna have a link for this, and everybody will be able to access that link. Okay, and I think that's pretty much all there is.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you so much. I'm sharing right now. Oh, Carla already shared the link to the SAP Business One 1099 Management User Guide, which is, as Lorena was mentioning, a step-by-step. Lorena, we have, you can find that link on the chat feature. Sorry about that. We have a couple of questions, Lorena.
Sure.
I don't know if you can go over them right now. The first one is from Rainer Casara. He's asking, what do we do if we want to remove a vendor from the 1099 report?
Okay, from the 1099 report, what we have to do is do the editing right here, and zero out the invoices that that you don't want them to show on your report. In this case, if you don't want all of them, then I will zero out all of them, so that amount doesn't show on the report. And then of course on the vendor itself, take him off the accounting, and here you just go and white it out, so there's nothing there, and you update it, so it's not going to continue to generate AP invoices with that selection.
Okay, thank you. We have another question that says, if I am reimbursing the vendor and not paying for services, can I take it off for that specific payment?
Yes, it'll be the same. It'll be on the editing right here. So, for example, for this specific invoice, you say no, I'm not gonna report this amount. So you just zero it out. Or if the AP invoice is not paid yet, like we talked about, you'll be able to come here on the accounting and white out, remove the selection of the Form 1099 before the payment is done. So that particular AP invoice is not included in the report. So either or, depending on the case.
Okay. If a credit memo is created from an AP invoice, that is taken into account by the 1099 report, correct?
Yeah, that goes straight up as part of the balance. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have no further questions. If anyone has any additional question, please send it our way, and we will get back to you. As Lorena was mentioning, please ask for our help if you need it. If you need to go through this process for your company with one of our consultants, we're here to help. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Lorena, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So
Thank you.
our final recommendations are for you to plan for January. So this is a process. We know that our vendors are going to be asking for these documents in January, and they have a specific date that they need this. There's a deadline, and January is generally a very busy and stressful month for many other things are going on. What we would suggest for anyone who hasn't been managing 1099 in SAP up until now is to set up your vendors as soon as possible. Following the process that Lorena showed us today, use the opening balance allocation if you already made payments to any of those vendors so that you already have that correctly set up. And then we would like to suggest for you to set up a reminder on your calendar for October to test the 1099 and 1096 document printing. We will remind you that in our newsletter as well. We really the document printing part of this, it can be a little stressful if you have a deadline on your neck, and if you do it with ease and with enough time, it's simply something that we need to test, because every printer, as Lorena was mentioning before, is different. So we want to make sure that we do those tests beforehand, so come January we just need to go and make the other checkups as to does this account balance match, and then we can just print and be relaxed. So in October, I think maybe revisit this webinar if you need to, and do contact us if when you're doing the printing, the test for the printing, something is not working, contact us so that we can help you adjust. What many of our customers do is they just purchase the documents from the IRS, and they make copies for this initial testing, right? And for the testing, it's important that when you do the testing, then you do not confirm as the report as submitted, because then it wouldn't work. So this is a test, and you don't have. So please contact us when you're going to do those tests so that we can help you avoid any problems. But don't wait until January, because then we're all we're all very stressed. Okay. Carla has been sharing in the chat feature other useful links that you can use to guide us as to content that you would like to see on future webinars, our YouTube channel where you can find videos and for your everyday use of SAP Business One, and also the webinar survey where you tell us exactly what you would like to see on the program. Lorena, I don't know if you have something else to add.
No, just thank you, everybody, and very, very happy to be able to do these webinars. I know they're very helpful, especially having the recording of them, like Clarita mentioned. And have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you very much to you, and thank you to everybody for joining us today. And please remember to send us your questions if you have any. Have a wonderful day.